Hello everyone. Welcome to AgileCast, a podcast series for agile enthusiasts from Zebia Agile community of consulting and transformation. ZACT is a community of seasoned agile coaches and passionate agile enthusiasts. We live by our core value of knowledge sharing, which is the only way you learn and care about your community. We have been hosting webinars, meetups, annual conference named Agile NCR, and of late, we decided to share our podcast series, which can help our fellow agile enthusiasts in exploring the well-proven solutions in the space of business agility. Today, I am going to talk about the various wastes in any product or service manufacturing, as well as during delivery. I would try to also relate these concepts in the context of the IT industry. Wastes, you would ask? Definition of waste, as per the dictionary, is something that is eliminated or discarded as not useful. Any machine or anything that consumes energy would produce wastes. Even human body produce wastes. Cars produce wastes. Computers also produce wastes in the form of heat and certain electromagnetic radiations. So now, you might want to ask, what do I mean by wastes in any product or service manufacturing? So imagine any craft assignment that you might have done in your own school or your kids may be doing in their class. Many a times these involve paper or cardboard that needs to be snipped into some shape for folding and joining together. But some of this paper or cardboard needs to be snipped out and thrown away, or sometimes the excess glue needs to be wiped out. These are wastes. Similarly, wastes of material might be there when large rolls of paper may be getting cut into paper reams of A4 or A3 size, etc. in the factories. So before I go any further, let me also remind all of you about something very obvious, but something that we can tend to forget. Within IT and particularly in the software industry, products are most often non-tangible. You can't see the products as they are hidden somewhere inside the computer or on a media device. When we compare, say, a car, a bridge, or a road, the product is clearly visible. One can see the flaws. If something is not straight enough, not vertical enough, not horizontal enough, not smooth enough. But in software industry, the flaws are not visible to the naked eye. Again, in most other products, one can quantify how many products can be produced in a period of time, whereas in software development, even such quantification is almost impossible. Moving from products to services, again, the product is not visible, but the service providers can be easily identified. For example, a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, etc. If a patient is spending long hours in queues to be able to consult the doctor or the lawyer, then it is a waste of time. If the doctor doesn't have the right tools to be able to diagnose a patient, that is also a waste. Therefore, wastes can be found in product manufacturing shops as well as in any establishment providing services. Again, product manufacturing also includes manufacturing a service or an experience. For example, if a telecom company is planning to extend their services to a new geography, but in laying an optical fiber network, the cable is getting pilfered, then because of this waste, their service offering will have to be priced higher. I hope that all of these examples that I have cited have made one thing clear. It's very important to understand wastes so that they can be avoided. Pilferage is clearly a waste, hurting both the manufacturer and the consumer. I am an agilist and therefore I try to relate whatever I say to Agile. What is Agile? Agile, as we know, is a philosophy of continually delivering value at a sustainable pace, making adjustments and improving through the feedback. Various frameworks like Scrum and Kanban and even the Agile thinking itself were born from the concepts of lean manufacturing. Focusing on the customer value, working in short cycles to get quick feedback are all concepts that have been borrowed from lean. A very big aspect of lean is the topic of wastes. I have said at the beginning that this podcast is about wastes. So, I shall go into the details of wastes really soon, but before that, let me give you another piece of trivia, a startling fact. Car racing, more popularly known as Formula One or F1 racing, has been around for many decades. In the 1950s, it would take an average of around 65 seconds to service a car when it stopped in a pit stop, changing the tires, oil, brakes, fueling. But today, even 4 seconds of that pit stop is considered too slow. So how did this multifold change happen? Of course, today they also have sophisticated communication and efficient knowledge management tools to preemptively know what fixes they have to do even before the car comes into the pit. But this is not the only factor that has contributed to this astonishing improvement. The F1 teams had always understood that their efficiency during a pit stop adds to the speed of the driver. Therefore, winning a race cannot solely depend on the capacity of the machine and the skill and resilience of the human driver. F1 crews started removing wastes and improving flow. They created such processes and such rigor that they knew which person will do what, like who will take the tire to the car, who will fix it, who will bring the hose, who checks the brake oil, and so on. Before the car drives into this pit stop, they are in their designated places. They do their tasks and quickly just step away. Let us understand the wastes of any system or process that manufactures anything, and this includes even the software industry. When one produces anything or provides a service, there is an input that undergoes some processing and results in an output or an outcome. Input is a cost, processing is also a cost, some fixed and some operational. If we do anything extra or do it inefficiently, then that adds to the cost. Hence, it's a waste. Even if you are a seller of fruits or vegetables, any extra cost due to transportation or due to pilferage or breakage cuts into your profit. In the pit stop example above, if it takes 10 seconds to fasten the new wheel, but it takes 2 minutes to pull out the new tire from the store, then it would be a huge waste that would lead to a loss of position on the leaderboard for the F1 team. It's becoming clear now as to how wastes can be so important to understand and curtail. Again, if the output produced has flaws, then that too is wasted effort, waste of input resource, raw material, wasted time, etc. So poor quality reduces customer satisfaction and it can have deadly consequences too. One such instance is famously retold in the context of software flaws. During the 1991 Gulf War between US and Iraq, one of US's own Scud missile fell on their own army barrack, killing 28 soldiers and wounding 260. What happened? Actually, it was a very minor rounding error in their missile tracking software, which ultimately led to the missile going off course by 573 meters, resulting in not just ridicule but unpardonable losses of lives for the US Army. A real waste indeed, isn't it? With such examples in hand, let us dig deeper. In Lean, 3 types of problems have been defined. They are called Muda, Mura and Muri. These are Japanese words. Muda means waste, Mura means inconsistency or imbalance, and Muri means strain. And Lean has adapted them to explain the wastes of any system or process. Let's talk about Muda. There are 7 types of wastes identified in any manufacturing. First one, wastes due to overproduction. You create anything, a piece of furniture, car, or even a cake for which there are no buyers, then it is again a waste of time, effort, raw material, packaging, etc. For example, the COVID vaccines that have been produced but are now getting wasted as the expiry date gets passed. In modern software technology, distribution has become a whole lot easier, but still software that nobody would buy is a waste. The other scenario is of a product that has features that are not at all being used. It is clearly a waste of the effort of building those features and the extra resources needed. Then there is the waste of unnecessary inventory. If a car manufacturer has a lot of raw material, iron and steel lying unused, then it's an investment that is not yielding any returns or a low ROI. In software terms, inventory is anything that is not complete or is awaiting processing in another phase. For example, if the developers are producing code but the test analysts are not able to pick them because of pending work to be completed, then this newly coded software piece also sits there as an inventory. This unfinished piece of work may never see the light of the day if business scenarios change, and that would be a clear case of wasted effort. Then we come to the third category, transportation waste. Steel plants used to be situated near the steel mines or coal mines just to reduce this time and cost of moving the raw material. Transport waste can also occur in the IT industry. If, for example, a software developer has to put in a request for a code review to a person across the globe or in another time zone, the response of this reviewer might now get looked at almost 12 hours or more later by the developer, and that's a huge waste of elapsed time. Similarly, when a software developer or analyst has to context switch between different tasks, then it is almost as if there is time lost in being transported from one place to the other. Then there are wastes due to waiting. If a steel furnace cannot be fired because the coal has not arrived, it's a waste of plant capacity. When a developer is waiting for an input from a designer or is waiting to get their PR approved, a test analyst is waiting for a changed piece of code to become available, it's a waste of valuable time. Even if the person who was waiting starts a new job, there would also be an additional effort of switching contexts, and keeping the unfinished piece of work is also an inventory. Thus, waiting waste can be significant in many ways. Cross-functional teams in Agile are a reason of reducing this waste due to waiting, because the team becomes self-sufficient. Operational wastes. Such wastes can happen for a variety of reasons, as we saw in the case of F1 crews. Processes, when fine-tuned, resulted in multi-fold improvement in time taken to complete a job, and this can manifest as lack of required training for the worker, or in the heavy hierarchical command and control type work environment where everything has to be got approved. We have to reduce these operational wastes. The other category is motion wastes. Imagine if the ingredients of the fastest selling dish are available to a chef few meters away from the cooktop, and also the workspace is so constrained that the chef cannot keep the needed ingredient just at an arm's length. That means the chef will have to walk back and forth to pick the ingredient and then to keep it back after use. Ultimately, the dish will take longer to prepare, and there may be quality issues as some steps like soaking, marinating or even cooking may be overdone as the cook was away retrieving an item or keeping it back. In IT parlance, licensing costs etc. may mean that one has to regularly go to another person's workstation to use a certain software, or one would keep needing to requisition for licenses or consumables like printer cartridges. The last category is a very obvious category of wastes, and that is defects or flaws. The time spent to rethink, rework and fix a defect is something that could have been avoided in the first place. We looked at the example from the error induced due to a trivial rounding matter that caused so much unwanted destruction for the US Army. In healthcare and transportation industry also, such defects can be life-threatening. In financial industry, there have been many instances where the rounding errors have cumulatively led to unscrupulous programmers siphoning off millions of real money. Otherwise, the bank or the financial institution would need to spend a lot of effort in reconciling the numbers and also in maintaining a suspense account that they would also need to write off to keep their books balanced. In essence, flaws of any kind in quality are costly wastes. Now let me talk about Mura, inconsistency or lack of smoothness. This happens when any or some stages of processing are delayed or slower than the amount of work at hand. The focus on quality goes down, stress on systems and processes increase, and that leads to breakdowns. This can happen in certain manufacturing shops where there might be a cyclical high demand for a product. When that happens, the workforce has to rush to produce more of the product, and at other times they might not have enough work. Ideally, there has to be a balance between the throughput from production and the unsold inventory that one can manage. Some organizations do temp hiring to meet the high demands. For example, a tax filing service can hire more CAs or tax filers temporarily to meet the high demand nearer the tax filing deadline. In IT world, this type of unevenness was quite common in waterfall SDLC. The testers and even developers could be waiting till the requirement analysis, design and build phases were happening. The developers might complete development very late, and all of a sudden testers had to pull all stops to complete the testing phase. It can also happen even in a sprint, when developers finish most of their work only at the end of the sprint, leaving little time for testing. This can become a vicious cycle, where at the end of the sprint, the team is overburdened and stressed. The start of the next sprint is slow, and again the same backloading happens at the end of the second sprint too, and this cycle continues. Now comes Muri or overload. Overload happens when there are less resources in general, or it may happen due to Mura, as we saw just now. A simple real world example is if there is a lot of orders of home delivery in a pizza shop, but the number of delivery personnel or bikes are less, or may be stuck in a traffic jam. The result will be delays in fulfilling orders, or the shop may have to cancel the orders. In IT world, this can happen in the Mura example, where the testing resources suddenly were overburdened towards the end of a sprint or a phase. It can also happen when the teams are not cross-functional enough, or a certain skill set is available only in one or two of those resources, and such resources may get overloaded and may even get burnt out, or just will churn out poor quality work. Before I end, let me also point out some more wastes in software industry. Number 1. POs and BAs create a story for each field of an online form. Number 2. Daily stand-up runs so long that even the sitting meetings would feel embarrassed. Number 3. Different feature teams building a large platform have their own backlog. 4. Different feature teams building a large platform and operating in silos have different length of iterations, have their own sprint planning, have a lot of unintegrated inventory because continuous integration is not at all there, or the work packets are not related to each other because the planning was never collaborative. Number 5. Architects and engineering teams do not document the curls, the YAMLs, etc. And therefore, when a software squad needs to consume these APIs, they need to do a lot of trial and error exploration. Number 6. Support analysts do not document the recurring issues and hence have to keep reinventing the wheel each time. On these wastes, you can touch base with myself or with our ZACT group in Xebia, and we can try to work out which type of waste these were. We would love to hear from you. And let me try to now conclude. We have seen different types of wastes, and almost all these wastes can occur in any industry, including the IT industry. The modern approaches of Agile and DevOps are based on lean practices, and various tenets of these philosophies are mechanisms to reduce wastes. Short feedback cycles, small teams, minimum handoffs, transparency, focus, courage, commitment, limiting work in progress, and reducing batch size are all aimed at reducing wastes, creating a sustainable pace of work and flow. Eventually, these also help the individuals become better by giving them more mastery over their trade, which further leads to a lot of autonomy and then a happy cycle can repeat of success preceding more success. That's all for now. Thank you.